In this video, I will show you how to create this football animation in DaVinci Resolve. So right here, we have our timeline set at 1920 by 1080. And I have these assets right here. So different players and also this football image and a football ground image. So all you need to do is just use this Fusion composition. You can just keep it at the default length and head over to it. But of course, that's up to you if you want to extend it. I'm just going to show you the basics. So drag in a background and change the alpha to 0. And now let's drag in our football ground image, connect this with the background. And in the merge, let's change the size to 1.5. Now, we're just going to work with 2D right here, and I'm going to add these two more merge nodes. And with this one, we're going to add our player. So I'm going to show you how you can add a outline to the player and also make it in a circular format. So you can add this ellipse and connect this with the media in with the merge. And in the ellipse, you can just adjust it so that the player is showing, his face is showing. So right here, we have that. But how do we get the outline? So we can just add in this background, change the green to all the way to 1. And while the background is selected, click on Matte Control. And from here in the media in, what you need to do is just drag this from here, this position right here, and connect this with the Matte Control. Now, while the Matte Control is selected, press 1 on the keyboard, and this is what will show. Now, press Control Space while this is selected, and click on Delta Keyer. So search for Delta Keyer and add it in, and press 1 on it so you can see how it looks. And now do the same thing. Just drag the media in, connect this with the Delta Keyer. Use this background dropper and just go ahead and select that green color. And now if you connect the Delta Keyer with the merge right here that we have, the second merge, or the merge 3 you can say, and go over to the Delta Keyer. In the matte, you can change the erode dilate to 0.01. And now you can change the replace mode to hard color. And from here, you can just select any color. I'm going with the white one. So this is the outline that you will get. Now, what you can do is go over to this merge 2. And from here, just select this pin. Go over to the merge 3, select this merge 3, and now you will see that both of these windows are open. So now right click on the center, click on expression, right click on the size, click on expression, and do the same thing for angle. And why we are doing it so that we can animate the outline and also this image at the same time. So you can just select this and connect this with this merge. And right here, you will notice that it says merge 3.center. So you can just copy this and go over to the size, paste this right here, and instead of the center, just change this to size. So right here it says size. So go ahead, change this to size. Make sure the S is capital. And over here and the angle, do the same thing, but this time change this to angle. So merge 3 represents the merge 3 at the top. So now what we can do is just double click on the merge 3. And now you can just unselect this pin tool. And in the merge 3, whatever you do, both the outline and the image will be affected. So right here, let's change the size to 0.5 and the angle, let's go ahead and change this to 90. So this is the position. I'm going to just change the position right here and let's reduce this even further. So let's go with 0.2 and let's move this right here. So this is our goalkeeper. So this is how you can add these players with the outline, and you can now change the name of this merge to player 1 because this is the merge node that we're going to use to change the position of this, add keyframes. We don't need to do it for merge 2. And now you can just select this and copy this by pressing Control C and then paste it right here by Control V, and you will get the same settings that we had right here. Now let me just move this a little back, the background. And now this is our player 1. So let's move them right here. These are the nodes for the player 1. And these are the merge nodes for the player 2. So the settings are the same. But now all you need to do is just unselect the merge 2 or merge 1 from here and connect this player 1 to the merge 2. And then this player 1, the second one, player 1, to the media out. And now you can select this media in with this merge and then this Delta Keyer with this player node. So that's just something that you need to do. You need to first unselect it and then add it. And now if you move it, so you will see that we have a duplicate now. Now, the amazing thing is that if you select any image and drag this right on the top of this media in, it says replace media in with this one. Just click OK and you will notice that the image has been changed. So that's how easy it is. And now you can just use the ellipse to change the position so that the player is showing, and go over to this player node and change the size from here so that you can increase it or decrease it according to how the image is. So this is how easy it is to add different players. You can just reuse the nodes that we created. And also let me just change the name for this. So let's call it player 2. So you can just reuse them, and let me position this right here. And then you can do the same thing for the whole team. You don't have to add these nodes again and again. You can just reuse them. So right here, let me position this, move this right here, the nodes, so that they look easy. And now you can select this once again, press Control C to copy, and then Control V so that we can have another duplicate. So do the same process just like we did before, and unselect these right here, go over to this player node, and let me move this. So let's go ahead and connect this right here with this merge node, and then this player node, we will connect it with the media out. And now, same process, we will connect this again with the merge and the delta keyer with this player node. And now let's add in our third player. Again, replace, it says replace, and you will be able to replace it. Now go back to this player 1, and you can just rename this. Let's call it player 3 so that it's easier to know which player it is. Let's move this right here. And now again, we can resize this according to the other players that we have. And this is how it will look. So this is how easy it is to add different players in your Fusion composition, and you can now use them by just selecting the player nodes. So the renaming that we did for the player 1, player 2, player 3, and the ones that we will be doing later on, those are the ones that we're going to use mostly. You don't need to worry about these ellipses, the background anymore. All you need to do is just use them to position. All you need to do is just use them to position, resize it, make sure that the player is visible, and that's it. So this is how it looks at the moment. These three players, these are the nodes that we have right now. So now what I'm going to do is add in all of these different players. Just use the same process that we did, that I just showed you, and you can add the whole team. You can select all the images that we have in the assets folder. You can add them again. And now this is the final result. So don't get overwhelmed with all these different nodes. Very simple. All we need to now do is just use the player nodes. You don't need to worry about the other ones. Those are just the duplicates. Now select the final player, which is the player 11, add in this merge node and move this up. And over here we have this media out. So right here, we're just going to position it so that we can add the opposition as well. But with the opposition, either what you can do is add in more players. So you can repeat the same process, or you can add in this S ellipse by going over to Control Space, search for S ellipse and add this in. Now, again, press Control Space, search for S merge, and again, let's search for S render. So these are the S nodes. You can say you can just drag this render with the merge, and this is an ellipse that we get. Now the difference between this and the regular ellipse, the ellipse that we have, is that this also has like a color inside of it. So you don't need to add the background node again and again. This is how easy it is. So right click on the width, and you can use the expression to now reduce it. So connect this with the height and reduce it. So let's go with 0.03. Let's go with 0.04. All right, now in this style, you can go ahead and change the color. So this is what I'm talking about, that you can change the color right here within this ellipse. You don't have to drag in any other background. So I'm going with this orange color. All right, so now press Control Space, search for this S ellipse once again. And this time we're just going to connect this with the S merge again. But this time you can just copy the settings from this S ellipse, paste them right here in the ellipse 2. And we have the same settings. But this time what we need to do is go over to the S ellipse 2. And from here, you can just click on this pin, go over to the S ellipse 1. And from here, you will notice that we have the same thing that we did before for the players. And we can now just add in this outline just like we did for the players. So right here, what we're going to do is go over to the controls. So first of all, let me go over to the style. And from here, I'm just going to change in the color to maybe red. And go over to the controls. And from here, unselect the solid and change the border width. So let's go with 0.004. So this is how it looks at the moment. And from here, we can just select this ellipse 2. And actually, let's change the border width to 0.03. Go over to the style, and from here, I'm just going to change the color a little bit lighter. So So something like this. Of course, you can choose any color that you want. And in the ellipse 1, what we need to do is now connect this with the ellipse 2. So just like we did for the player nodes, we need to go over to controls. But this time, for these ones, we need to right click on the X offset, click expression, and also the Y offset, click expression, and then connect this with the X offset of the other ellipse. And right here, just copy this one and paste it right here. But only this time, just change the translate.x to translate.y. So this is how it will look. Now you can just unselect the pin, and right here, if you move the X offset for the ellipse 1, the whole thing will be moving. So right here, you can position this anywhere that you want. That's up to you. And it looks like it's kind of big than the players that we have. So you can go ahead, change the size of this. So I'm going to change the height to 0.03. All right, so this is better now. And now what we can do is just change the name for this to op1. So this is opposition or opponent 1 maybe. So select all of these and copy this, Control C, paste, Control V, and then connect this with the merge 1. So right here, just make sure all of these are connected. And now if you move the op1 underscore 1, let me just rename this to op2. So now if you change the position for this, you will notice we have a duplicate. And we can do the same thing again and again. So let's do it a couple of times. Let's change this, add in a opposite opponent 3, opponent 4, opponent 5 maybe. We have all of these players set up. Now let's go over to this merge right here. And let me just move this up along with the render as well. So let's move this right here, somewhere around here. Let's move the renderer up a little bit. And now with the merge selected, let's add in another merge. And this time we're going to go ahead and add in our football. Connect this with the merge. And let's go over to the merge and change. First of all, let's rename this to football. And let's go over to the size and resize this to, let's say, 0.1. No, it's still big. So let's go with 0.05. 0.5, yeah. Or 0.2. So this is good now. This looks good. Let's give the ball to the keeper. This is where we're going to start the animation from. So one thing, go over to playback, change the playback settings to quarter. I know this looks very bad right now. The whole thing is messed up. But don't worry. This is so that your system doesn't get overloaded, because now we're going to add animations and the system can get heavy. So let's go over to 0 frames, create a keyframe at the center for this football. And right here at 10, let's give a pass to our player. So let's give the pass to Harry Maguire. And now let's go over to, let's say, 20 frames, give a pass right here. So let's play this. So this is how it looks at the moment. All right, so now you just need to know the players. That's why we renamed them, so that it's easy. And you can even write the name of the player as well. That's up to you. I'm just showing you like a simple process. So here we have the ball passed right here. Let's create a keyframe at 5 for this player. And we're just going to slightly move him so that it looks like the player is moving. So that's how you can move the player a little bit. And now here we have this player 4. And what we're going to do is create a keyframe at this 20th frame. Go over to 40 frames and move the player up so that the player is running maybe. And we will do the same thing for the ball as well. So go over to the football, go over to 40 and move the ball along with the player. So this is how easy it is to add these animations. I'm just going to show you a very simple basic animation and also a few more things, but just bear with me for a moment. So right here, we have this simple animation setup. This is going to get complex. So right now I'm going to show you the other thing. Add in another merge node and add in this text. Connect the text with the merge, and from here we can add in these dashes, and we will use them to highlight, or you can say create an outline for any area on the pitch. So right here we have this tracking. Let me just change the tracking. Go over to layout, change the type to path. And from here you can draw the path to cover any area that you want on the pitch. So let me just do that right here. So this is the area that I want to cover. And of course, don't worry if this doesn't look very good. You can go back to the text and make some adjustments. So for example, let's decrease the tracking. So this looks good. All right. So yeah, this looks good. And now you can just go over to the text and right here, maybe let's start this at, let's say 15 frames. Go over to the text and create a keyframe at right on, change this to 0, and let's go right here to 30 and add this in. So this is how it looks. So just to show you that you can add highlights to the pitch to show something, maybe some formation or something, that's up to you. And I'm just going to remove this extra animation keyframe right here. All right, so this looks good. So far, so good. But of course, this animation is going to get complex. So right here, we're going to give the pass to the player at the front. So let's do that. And now you get the idea, right? You get the idea that the football is moving throughout the whole animation. And of course, you can change around with the position for the keyframes as well. That's up to you. And of course, look at this, that I'm also changing the position for the player as well. So right here with this player selected, which is the player 6 in my case, right here at 20, I'm going to create a keyframe at the center, go over to 40. I'm going to move him a little bit at the front. And then right here, I'm going to move him back. So you can see like this will depend on you, the kind of animation that you want. But I'm just showing you that you can just mimic the player movement according to how it is in real life. So you get the idea. And right here, we're just going to create a keyframe for this player as well, this player 11. And then right here, we're going to move him. And then we will give him a pass. So the thing is that in all these keyframes that we're doing, the animation that we're doing, we will show at least the movement of at least a few players, right, at the same time. Because otherwise, it will look very weird if only one player is moving at one time. But bear in mind that this is going to get heavy on your system. So depending on the system that you have, this can get heavy. But like I said, if you're using the playback settings set at quarter, that will help you in creating this animation, just like it helped me in creating this animation right here. So don't worry about how bad it looks right now, but only focus on the animation. We just need to get the animation right, and then we will focus on just changing it back to regular. So right here, I'm just going to change the right on so that this highlight is gone. So that's something that you can do just to show you that you can just use this right on to create an outline. Of course, you can do that with the polygon tool as well. That's a different thing, but the concept is the same. So right here, we do have the animation for these different players, but you will notice that I'm not animating the opponents right now, but you can do that right now as well. But in my case, I'm going to do it a little later on. So right now, just to show you like a basic animation of how the players are moving around the pitch and how we're going to, pass the ball and how the whole play is going to be. So that's it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly create the animation. So look at this. This is how it looks so far. So what I'm going to do is I'm quickly just going to add the other animations for the other players as well. So once that's done, we will then come back to our opponents. All right, so right here, you will notice that our basic animation for our players is done. Now let's animate our opponents. So right here, we can create a keyframe at this 10th position, 10th keyframe, and then just create keyframes at X offset and Y offset. And then move these at 10th frame. So from 0 to 10, we're creating these keyframes. Create keyframe at 0, and then at 10th frame, create other keyframes as well. So the same process that we did for the players, we're going to do for the opponents, but the only difference is that this time it is using these two variables called the X offset and the Y offset. So now you can move them according to how you want them to, attack the player, attack the ball, or try to chase the ball. That's up to you. The whole animation depends on you. I'm just showing you how to do that altogether. Just the basic step. You can add more complexity to this if you want. So look at this. I'm changing the position for the players, adding keyframes while the ball is moving. And of course, you can add the opponents again later on, and even you can add more players later on. You can even switch players later on if you want to, because the whole system is set up, all the nodes are set up. All you need to do is just add more by copy pasting, and you can just drag another image to replace the image of the player. So that's how simple it is. And if you are a football fan, maybe this might be easy for you. You might understand what I'm doing exactly, but otherwise it's a good, you can say, practice for even those people who don't really care about football, to just understand how the animation works in this 2D format. Okay, so change this to the full view now. And later on, what we're going to do is add a 3D movement. So right now, what we have is the animation is done so far, but you will notice that at some points, the player is not even touching the ball. So for example, right here, the player is not even touching the ball. So what we can do is just manually adjust it. You can either change the direction of the football, or you can change the direction of the player. In my case, the better way I think is to change the position of the player, just like I'm doing right now. So here you can see player comes back, touches the ball, and then gives the pass. So this is how you can just do some manual adjustments. So for example, this player as well, it's not touching the ball. The player is not touching the ball right here. And now the player is. So these are just some basic, you can say, adjustment you can do later on, because we had this in a very bad format, right? In a very bad preview. So now we have it in a good format, and now we can adjust it to see if it looks good. Now let's add in this image plane 3D. Press Control Space, search for render 3D, connect the image plane 3D with the render 3D, the render 3D with the media out. So now we have this in the 3D format. And now we're going to add some camera movements by using this transform. So you can use this Z to zoom this in. So maybe at around somewhere around 1.3 maybe. Let's change the Z in the rotation as well. And of course, this also depends on you. And I would also recommend to change the playback settings to quarter, because this will help you in animating in 3D as well. So just like we had to create the animations, this will get heavy on your system if you just keep it at the full quality. So right now, creating keyframes at this 0, and then go over to 20, change the Z rotation, the Y rotation, the X rotation. It totally depends on you. You can either copy the settings that I'm showing you right now, or you can do this on your own. That's up to you. But you will notice the camera movement will look very smooth if you keep it at a distant position. So don't do a very rapid one. It might not even look good for especially this type of animation. It's already going to be rapid. If you have already seen the preview, it was pretty much at a very high speed. So that's why just make sure, try to do some experiment to, push it a little farther apart, add some more delay between these animations. So for example, right here at the 40th frame, I'm going to just zoom this in. So changing the X and the Z. So this is how it looks. And then right here, you will notice a zoom in and also a slight tilt, you can say. But we can just use the Y from the rotation to add that tilt, and the X as well. So now we have this in a, you can say, plain view. Actually, let me just change these to -30, minus. Okay, so this is how it looks. This is how it looks so far, right? So you have this camera movement only by using the image plane 3D node. And now let's go over to, let's say, the 70th frame. And from here, you can just change the animation. So let's change the rotation, XYZ, change the translation. Again, this totally depends on the kind of animation that you want. You don't have to exactly copy the keyframes that I have right here, but just understand the concept right now, that right now the player are passing the ball from left to right. So I'm just keeping it at the similar position, not zooming in, just changing, or you can say tilting. But as soon as the ball goes further, or you can say ahead, I'm just going to zoom this in a little bit. So right here at maybe 100, I'm going to just zoom this in a little bit. Actually zoom this out because the ball is going to come back. So since the ball is going to come back, I'm going to zoom this out and maybe change the Y as well. So something like this. So here you will notice that once the ball comes back, I moved it back. So it depends on the ball as well, the ball movement. You can use this ball movement to go ahead and then use your camera animations according to it. And now as we go over to, let's say, the 130th frame, I'm going to just zoom this in and make it a little further into it. So for example, something like this. Yeah, so something like this. And then finally at the end, we're just going to, you can say, bring this even further. And actually it would be better if we can just move it to the top. So if we just change the Y, yeah, so for example like this, if we change the Y and let's actually move it out a little bit, the Z from the translation, and then the X, let's move this up. So something like this, right? Again, I just did it randomly. You don't have to do it exactly like I did. The only technique or only you can take away is, and let me just change it back to full so that you can see how it looks now. So the only takeaway from this one is that I just use the ball movement to add the 3D movement. And now in the main timeline, I have this solid color. You can just add it from the generators and use this color code that I have, add it in, and this is how it looks. So this was it for this video. I hope you found this video useful, and I will see you in the next one.